10 years ago, I lived in a small, quiet village surrounded by rolling green fields and thick forests. It was a place where everyone knew each other, where news spread faster than the wind, and where traditions were deeply rooted in our daily lives. At that time, I was only 18 years old, young, naive, and full of dreams. I believed in love, in kindness, in the fairy tales I had read in books. I was innocent, unaware of the harsh realities of the world, and eager to experience life beyond the narrow roads of my village. In our village, there was a boy named Alex. He was tall, with sharp features, and an effortless charm that made every girl's heart race. He had piercing blue eyes that seemed to hold secrets, and a confident smile that made him irresistible. Many girls adored him, and I was no exception. My heart skipped a beat every time I saw him. I admired him from a distance, weaving fantasies in my mind, where he was my Prince Charming. At that time, Alex was 23, older than me, more experienced, and worldly in ways I could not yet understand. But I did not care about the age difference. I was infatuated. People in the village, however, spoke ill of Alex. Rumors about him whispered through the streets like autumn leaves carried by the wind. Some said he was reckless. Others claimed he was cruel. My mother warned me, her voice firm yet concerned. "Stay away from Alex. He is not a good boy." My aunt echoed the same warning, shaking her head as she said, "That boy is nothing but trouble." But I did not listen. I was blinded by my feelings, by the foolish belief that love could change someone. I thought that if I loved Alex enough, he would become the kind and gentle man I imagined him to be. I convinced myself that the villagers were simply jealous, that they did not truly know him the way I did. One fateful Saturday night, our village hosted a dance party. The town square was decorated with strings of glowing lanterns, casting a warm, golden hue over the cobbled streets. Music filled the air, laughter echoed through the night, and the scent of freshly baked bread and flowers lingered. My friends and I were eager to go. My mother, however, was reluctant. "It's not safe," she said, worry etched on her face. "Please, Mom," I begged, my hands clasped together, my eyes pleading. "I'll stay with my friends, I promise." After much hesitation, she relented, though her unease did not fade. The party started off slow. Only a few people arrived at first, their voices low, their movements cautious. But as time passed, more villagers joined, and the square soon bustled with dancing, singing, and joyful chatter. And then Alex arrived. He walked in confidently, his presence commanding attention. He looked directly at me and smiled. My heart pounded in my chest, a mixture of excitement and nervousness coursing through me. When he approached me and asked me to dance, I felt as if I was floating. We danced, our bodies swaying in perfect harmony. During the slow songs, he held my hand, his touch warm, almost reassuring. During the breaks, we talked, and he made me laugh. It felt like a dream, like I was finally living the love story I had always imagined. As the night drew to a close, Alex leaned in and whispered, "Let's go for a drive." His voice was smooth, tempting. My friends shot me concerned glances, but I was too caught up in the moment to notice. Without thinking, I said yes. Alex's car was well known in the village, a sleek, shiny vehicle that stood out among the simple, old-fashioned wagons and bicycles. As we drove through the quiet village streets, I felt exhilarated, the cool night air rushing through my hair, the sky above us dotted with a million stars. It felt magical. But then, something changed. Alex took a turn onto a narrow, lonely road leading away from the village. The streetlights disappeared, replaced by shadows stretching ominously across the path. The trees loomed over us, their branches rustling eerily in the wind. My excitement began to fade, replaced by a growing sense of unease. "Where are we going?" I asked, my voice uncertain. Alex didn't answer. Instead, he pulled the car to a stop in a secluded spot where there were no houses, no lights, no people. He turned to me, his blue eyes darker now, unreadable. He reached out, brushing his fingers against my cheek. "You're beautiful," he murmured, leaning closer. Alarm bells rang in my mind. Something didn't feel right. I pulled away slightly. "Alex, I want to go home." His expression hardened. "Come on, don't be like that." He grabbed my hand, his grip firm, unyielding. Fear coiled in my stomach. "No, Alex," I said more firmly, trying to pull away. But he didn't listen. He tightened his hold, his other hand moving toward me. Panic surged through me. With all my strength, I pushed him away. "Stop, Alex!" I shouted, his face twisted in frustration. "You're so boring," he spat. Then, without another word, he reached across, yanked open the car door, and shoved me out into the cold night. I hit the ground, my hands scraping against the rough dirt road. Before I could react, he drove away, leaving me alone in the darkness. My heart pounded as I looked around. The village was far away. There were no lights, no sounds, except the distant chirping of crickets. Fear gripped me. My shoes were not made for walking long distances, but I had no choice. I started walking. The journey back was agonizing. My feet ached, blisters forming with every step. My hands trembled from the cold. My eyes burned with unshed tears. When I finally reached home, I collapsed onto my bed and sobbed. My heart was shattered. I had loved Alex, but he had never truly cared about me. The next day, I told my friends what had happened. To my shock, they weren't surprised. "Alex is always like this," they said. "He did the same to us. Why didn't you warn me?" I demanded, my voice breaking. They looked at me apologetically. "We thought you knew." That night changed me. I was no longer the naive girl who believed in fairy tales. I became stronger. I learned to listen, to trust my instincts. 2 years later, I moved to the city. I worked hard, built a new life, and found happiness. Now, I am 28 years old, married to a wonderful man, expecting my first child. Meanwhile, Alex's life has spiraled downward. Failed marriages, excessive drinking, and regret. I look back at that night sometimes. It was painful, but it shaped me into who I am today. Life has a way of teaching us lessons, sometimes in the harshest ways. But I believe everything happens for a reason. And now, as I sit in my warm home, watching the rain fall outside, I hold my husband's hand and know I'm exactly where I am meant to be. The next video, if you enjoy the story, please like, subscribe, and share.